The hottest segment for some time now has been the compact SUV, and Honda finally jumps into it with a credible product. We're in Udaipur to test the new Honda Elevate. And look what it must deal with. The Volkswagen Taigun, Skoda Kushaq, Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara, Toyota Urban Cruiser HyRyder, MG Astor, and the market leaders, the Kia Seltos and its Hyundai alter ego, the mighty Creta. Yeah, it's getting hot in here, and the Citroen C3 Aircross will soon join the scrum. Because for Honda, it's more than just another SUV or a new model. It's make or break time. But the big shocker when Honda unveiled the car in early June was that we wouldn't get the much expected hybrid variant of the Elevate. And nope, there's no diesel either. And the reason, says Honda, it's working on an electric variant that will come in a year or two. I kind of wish Honda at least gave us that strong hybrid or maybe a turbo option. I accept the IV Tech is a well-proven powertrain, but look at what the competition is doing. As a late entrant, the Elevate should have elevated us in some way. But with a single petrol offering, let's at least hope Honda can keep pricing extremely competitive. So you get the tried and tested 1.5-litre IV Tech petrol unit that we know very well from other models like the Honda City. Get in and start driving the Elevate and everything is nice and refined, very smooth, very Honda-like, just what you'd expect. Especially in city traffic, you're going to find the car very comfortable, especially with the CVT, which is the first car I'm driving. Yeah, it's very convenient, it's hassle-free. But then when you get onto the highway, when you want to push the car just a little bit, well, that's when things start to change. The CVT is slow to react and can get a little frustrating in situations that require quick downshifts for a quick burst of power. Now the maximum power kicks in as high as 6600 RPM. On paper that compares fairly evenly with the rivals, but yes, the engine starts to strain. You want to push it a little bit. Now I'm climbing up a slope. All you can hear is that massive amount of engine rev, but the performance doesn't correspond to that kind of noise. Now on the CVT, things are a little bit more labored, so I'm curious to see if it's different on the manual. The way to drive it then is with a light foot. Now Honda says it's tuned the engine to balance efficiency and drivability along with a fair amount of performance. So given the lack of the energetic performance, you have to ask the question, how come the mileage figure isn't a lot higher? But hey, it is still a healthy number and the CVT will do just fine on day-to-day city driving. Rest assured on that. To see if the CVT was the sole issue, I jumped into the manual variant next. While the motor still revs like crazy, obviously it's the same one, it is just a whole lot more fun in the manual. Get a better sense of control, you got a little bit more power that arrives more quickly to you, and it just feels more energetic, this car, all of a sudden with the manual transmission. I'm driving through pretty hard rain right now, and yeah, the word spirited is coming to mind as compared to the CVT. Though I will say this, that having a sophisticated gearbox like a DCT would have probably done the trick. Having said that, trying to eke too much mileage out of this has kind of dulled the engine somewhat. Well, we are also back to the topic of why there isn't a turbo option. Global models from Honda do get a 176 bhp 1.5 litre straight 4 turbo, but we've never been blessed with that one from Honda. It would have made this car feel very different, I reckon. Honda could localize it and get it on the City and Elevate as a powerful option. But yeah, don't hold your breath. Once on the highway, things immediately settle down. The Elevate will do quite well if you like to cruise along smoothly. It rides on coil springs and ride quality is quite good too, even at the rear. Where the car redeems itself is on handling. Given its size, given its weight, and given its dimensions, it does pretty alright around the corners. It seems to hold its line. The steering could have been more precise, but having said that, I think overall its drive dynamics are not so bad. Is it the sportiest in this segment? Certainly not. And frankly, if you're looking for sporty, you're better off going with the likes of the Seltos or even the Taigun. Having carried out its own crash testing, Honda believes the Elevate will not disappoint in such tests. So you get a strong structure, you also get 6 airbags, ABS and ESC, rear view camera, and the lane watch camera for blind spots. Not all of this is standard, of course. There's also Honda Sensing or Level 2 ADAS functionality like emergency braking, lane keep and departure assist, adaptive cruise control, etc. They work pretty effectively, including right now where even if I don't put the car's headlamp in the automatic position, Honda Sensing senses that the environment right now is all sort of murky and gloomy, and the headlights come on automatically, stay on, even if I try and turn them off. The Elevate also has very good ground clearance, which at 220mm is pretty impressive. In styling terms, the Elevate looks the part. Yes, this is a segment where people want the feel of an SUV. They want to have that whole impression and image of having a nice large SUV. This certainly has the proportions for it. Not just the fact that it is the tallest in its class now, not just the fact that it also has the longest wheelbase, but also the face, the way the styling has been done. It's all very upright. In fact, that face, if you think about it in Honda's global portfolio terms, is a lot like the Honda Pilot, the new generation of that car, which is a lot larger, but that SUV has the same vertical face like this one. And so, yeah, there's a bit of a family look going on. You got bright DRLs and this massive black grille. That's what really dominates that face. Fair amount of chrome up front, and then you got these two sort of sections that rise up on the side, trying to add a little bit of muscle. At the back, you see a kind of a familiar looking tail light. It looks like a lot of other SUVs that we have seen in the past. But yes, fair amount of height at the back too. It does have good amount of elevation. And that's not all. Open this up and let me show you. That's a nice big size boot. That too is the biggest in its class. The car gets 7 color options. Most are the same boring Honda staples, but the Phoenix Orange is all new and looks great. So does the Obsidian Blue from the City. The white, grey and orange get a two-tone black roof option. Over to Pratik now for the interior.
Well, on the inside, the Elevate has a cabin that is leaps ahead from what we've seen with earlier models or the previous models of the Honda stable. This one looks extremely refreshing, extremely sophisticated, and that's thanks to this dual tone, this brown and tan color theme that you get for the interior. But what's also nice are these soft touch materials on the dashboard as well as on the side door panels. What I also like is this touchscreen. This is a 10.25-inch touchscreen. This one has better graphics. So overall, it functions better. The operations are much better. Then you also get climate control, you also get wireless charger, a 7-inch instrument cluster, but what is missing on the Elevate is ventilated seats and there's no ambient lighting.
Android Auto, Apple CarPlay are available from the mid-trim onwards, but wireless connectivity to them comes only on the top spec variant. Honda Connect also helps control various functions of the car through the app and even through your smartwatch. And if you plan to elevate yourself to the back seat, listen up.
Now this is where everything is going to matter, because the rear passengers are going to enjoy an ample amount of knee room. There's decent amount of headroom, but the knee room is going to be the USP of the Elevate. You also get a slightly elevated footrest right behind the front driver, so that also gives you a nice under thigh support. It also gives you a nice sitting posture, especially for longer journeys. My frame of height is 5'8", so I've got a decent amount of under thigh support. But the biggest problem is going to be for people who are above 6 feet, because this under thigh support that I have right now is going to be very limited, because people who are taller are going to be sitting upright. So this is going to be very limited and won't be enjoyable for longer journeys. You obviously get this AC vents, you also get a power outlet over here, but I would have preferred a larger sunroof. Just would have elevated the entire driving experience.
The legroom at the rear is also going to be a big USP. The Elevate also feels well built, but its interiors will not dazzle you, and it also doesn't have any party tricks. The other thing that strikes you about the Elevate is the cabin is nice and roomy. You get a great sense of space in this car, but the seating is a little bit lower than what you would typically expect in an SUV. So on the driver's side, you've got height adjustment, you can put the seat up, but as you start going higher, well, you start getting a little closer to the roof. That's not usually a huge problem. So why am I saying all of this? Usually in an SUV, you want that high seating, you want that commanding position. And in this car, unless you really bump it up higher, you see too much of the hood. You don't see as much of the road. You don't get that tall seating position that you want from an SUV. So it hampers visibility just a little bit. Prices are expected in the 11 to 17 lakh rupee range. I feel Honda needs to play this very smartly though. Alright, so what's the bottom line? Now this is a highly competitive segment. We're talking about cars that have set some fantastic benchmarks, including the Seltos, which recently got its facelift as well. And then of course the best-selling Creta, and you've also got the hybrids from Toyota and Suzuki. So we're talking about a really tough set to break into. But there is one big advantage that Honda has. Its brand equity here in India remains very strong. If there's a new car from Honda, people will definitely consider it. So where am I going with this? It'll all come down to pricing. Because like I said, highly competitive segment, one that's also feature loaded. Cars that drive well and are great in terms of overall packaging. So for Honda to really make a mark here, sorry guys, but it's going to come down to some aggressive pricing. So if Honda does undercut the competition, the Elevate could become a runaway success. After all, you may not get the most feature-loaded car, nor the sportiest, but you would still definitely get a Honda. And for many, that in itself is enough.